the writer.
Hi, I'm Selena. I'm the illustrator.
Welcome to our pre-launch book talk. Our book will be launched May 5th, 2026 of next year, but this is a little sneak peek of why we wrote the book, what it's about, and you'll get to hear us read a little bit of the book. So we are incredibly grateful for you coming out, and just as a reminder, our interest form is right here. This is our pre-order form, so if you scan the QR code and put your name in, we will be picking winners for free books. 2 winners will get free books, so if you would like to, please scan our QR code.
They will be signed when they're printed.
If you want.
Yes.
Our book is titled Yuna Choe and the Perfect Bowl of Rice. To give you a quick synopsis before we jump into the backstory, I'm going to give you the blurb. Yuna Choe always tries to be perfect. Perfect grades, perfect manners, and especially a perfect bowl of rice. But one day she adds too little water, and instead of fluffy white rice, she's left with a burnt, crunchy mess. Yuna feels like she's failed until her parents show her something wonderful. Mistakes can be delicious too. And she's discovered durungji, a golden, toasty, Korean, crispy rice treat that's a treat all on its own. So, we wanted to keep this very casual and just have a conversation about how we met, how we got here. So, how did we meet? We met at the University of Chicago. TV, here's the hat.
Yeah, I think it was like the Korean Student Organization, and they're hosting some like KBBQ events. So obviously, it attracted, the best minds to go collect our KBBQ. That's probably how we became friends, and then we stayed in touch over the years.
Actually, not to brag, but Celine, not to brag about Celine. Celine drew the poster for the KSO show in 2019, and that was the show that sold out. And it was a show called Soul Searching, if you get the pun. So honestly, it was like I was a fan, and Celine was like, hello.
Not to be confused with the Netflix show. Yeah.
And then we reconnected in 2024 more effusively because we found each other on Instagram.
Yeah, I think you liked all my photos.
Because I was
like,
a fan.
Who is this? And it was an old friend, and you were sharing your own like creative pursuits in writing, and you already had like this little manuscript that you have been creating to publishers. And at the time, I was hoping to like break into children's book illustration. So I got really excited, and I was like, oh, do you have an illustrator? Maybe I could, or we could collaborate on this project together. And kind of just like took off from there. But at that time, Jessica was living in Chicago, so this was kind of like a long distance relationship held together by strong love. And yeah, you moved here recently, so now we're able to work on it in person.
I feel like I should tell Celine I moved for her, and that would just cement the fan relationship we have.
It was implied.
That's why I moved to LIC.
She moved her whole family here.
Oh, it's so true. So that's a little bit about how we know each other and how we started the project. The funny story about this project is that I was a third year at Michigan Law School, so I think I was around 24 at the time. I had never cooked rice on the stove pot, but I had cooked it on a rice cooker. So when I was doing it with the stove pot, I just put in the wrong amount of water, it burnt, it was horrible. And I think just at the time I was like, wow, I'm 24 and I can't make rice? I think that's kind of a crazy statement to say as I'm graduating law school. But I think it gave me the idea for a book about a little girl, a Korean American girl, who's raised to think that perfection equates to love, which is kind of how I feel like I had that mentality as a kid. But I wanted to push back against that and say perfection does not equal love. I wanted to show that mistakes can be really beautiful, and I thought a great way to do that would be through food. Because for us both, like obviously we connected through KBBQ, so we love food. But I think that food is just a great vessel for expressing family love, especially in Asian families. I think my mom and dad always will be like, have you eaten today? And that's what is love to me. So to express food as both culture and identity was something I really wanted to do with this book. And the idea that love and perfection are not the same. You can be loved, you don't have to be perfect. Mistakes can be very, very delicious. That was the idea behind how this book came to be.
Yeah, when I first read the manuscript, I thought it was so cute because it's running around like really basic core food, rice. And if you think about a lot of your childhood memories, and the core memories kind of like center around food. So I was really excited to work on something like involving food. But I also didn't really cook my first pot of rice until I was in my 20s. Yeah.
I mean, same.
I wish I actually sheltered. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what brought us to this stage. We wanted to talk a little bit about the journey to becoming published because it's extremely difficult, I feel like, to enter the publishing industry. And to share a little bit of a personal story, I started the book as a third year in law school at 24. I was writing it and I sent it out to a bunch of editors, agencies, the whole thing. And I think with just the manuscript, it was really hard to even get responses. Or I would get responses that said, do you have any illustrations? We have your full manuscript, but we need more. So I think after that, I was a little worried about like whether this book would ever be published through an official publisher. But I reconnected with Celine. We had been talking, but she offered to be an illustrator for it. And I think that was what really got us to the second stage of like being more kind of having a chance at this publishing industry. So we started querying again when I had graduated last year. And we got a lot more emails back saying that they were interested in the manuscript, but a lot of the responses we got were kind of split between this book fills a niche that we have already felt, like we have already filled, versus this book is great, but we just don't have the time for it right now. So I think we were encouraged but also discouraged at the same time. And we were thinking, when is our book deal coming? When is our book contract coming? But at the University of Michigan Law School, I was involved in a clinic called the Zell Entrepreneurial Clinic, and we help a lot of students create their own LLCs, create their own businesses. And I had done that clinic for 2 semesters, and I never remember seeing these people as like my clients, obviously, because that's a conflict of interest. But I remember seeing like this group, a colorful collection, being promoted on the UMich Law Clinic's Instagram. So I reached out and I asked, oh, like, are you a publisher? Are you on your way there? And they said that they were working with the clinic to get LLC status to become a nonprofit diverse children's book publisher. They had at the time already published their first book. It's called Pamelia and Pancit. If you want to check that out, a colorful collection on Instagram. But they were definitely interested in publishing a second book. And I think once they got LLC status, once they got their publisher status, they reached out and said they wanted to publish our book. And that is the journey of how we found our publisher. It was like a 2-year journey, but we finally got there.
What was the 1 year?
1 year? It felt like 2.
I guess if we include the time where you were also
when I was querying.
Yeah,
it's kind of been a long way coming, but that was kind of the story about how we got the book deal, how we got that book contract. And to give them a shout out, they love to celebrate the beauty of storytelling and amplifying marginalized voices.
Yeah, their logo should be also on the bottom of our bookmark. But yeah, to add on, like when we're querying with other publishers, and then this is kind of more like a niche story. I think for one of them was between us and the Wonton book, creating Wonton, and the Wonton book won. So that was a little sad, but glad that there's like another Wonton book out there in the world. Yeah. And then, oh yeah, I just have my notes here because I always forget. But I also took this class at SBA, and they had like a one-off children's book illustration course. I would really recommend it if you guys are like interested in learning more about like a specific passion that you have, and that's what helped me like really grow as an illustrator and also improve a lot of my art. So like a lot of these drawings here, I had a lot of feedback from the professor there. So I really recommend it.
Well, now's the moment I think a lot of you have been waiting for. We would love to do a little read aloud of the spreads that we have so far. I'll use my children's book voice.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna use the original art right now. As we're still in progress of I guess drawing out the rest of the pages and putting together like a print copy. Okay, this is the cover. This is very visible. Like super center. Should I stand? Y'all look.
Yes. I can stand for this.
I would have made it bigger, but I have to be practical, like how fast I can finish this book.
So our cover, Yuna Choe and the Perfect Bowl of Rice. Yuna Choe does everything right. She starts every day with a smile so bright. As soon as she wakes, she does all her chores. She makes her bed neatly, the way Mom adores. Yuna brags, "Mom, look at my clean bed." Mom smiles warmly and pats Yuna's head. If being perfect leads to Mom's beaming face, then Yuna wants to be her perfect little ace. At lunch, Yuna bows deep with poise and grace. She knows respect is shown in time and place. Yuna sets the table with careful hands. She places each dish as tradition demands. She eats with care, and her lips stay closed. Her chopsticks never point or pose. Her elders praise her manners. "Omo, she's so polite. You've raised a perfect child. What a nice sight." Dad nods his thanks. His smile flashes wide. Yuna loves being Dad's pride and delight. Tonight is a very special night. Yuna looks forward to it with all her might. For now, at last, she gets to see how Mom makes rice so perfectly. And that was our read.
Actually the original concept art until I got a lot of feedback in that class, and then we changed the style and design of it. And also shout out here.
Shout out to Stella, right? Stella Kim at Stella Kim. She made our Bodhi gift for us, our little sponsored items. Shout out to her. She's at the back if you ever want to talk to her. And she hosted the Bodhi gift Beds of Workshop right before this class.
But you guys feeling really jealous right now.
So we have just a couple topics left. I just wanted to talk a little bit about representation in picture books. I think, as a lot of us did, like I grew up loving reading. I was always that kid on the playground who was reading instead of actually going on the swings. Or I was reading on the swings, and that was a dangerous situation, and I stopped immediately. But I remember just growing up, reading a lot of just Western, like US books. And I remember in middle school, one time I looked at the mirror and I was a little confused why I wasn't blonde with blue eyes and I didn't have a tree in my backyard. And I was thinking, wait a second, I am not any of those things, and I have an apartment with like concrete on the back. So I would really just love to see more representation in children's books, and I think that was just a big part of making this happen, and that was a big, I hope, something that we can take away from this book.
I think that's also part of why we were drawn to a colorful collection, because they were trying to fill that hole that they felt when they were growing up.
Which leads right into our one takeaway. I guess I have two. My takeaway would be always eat more rice, of course, and love is not about being perfect.
Yeah, I guess mine was more like about the creative process, like if people are also trying to pursue their interests outside of work in the similar situations, that as we're building a book, I would grow, get better, and then want to redo the pages, which leads to an infinite loop of nothing getting done, which is like the initial delay. So at one point you just have to accept that this is finished and keep like progressing, being okay with like some things not being up to your new like standard.
We wanted to open up a little bit of time for questions about the journey to publishing, or about the book, or about anything, if there are any questions.
What inspired your style?
Oh, the pencil, or I really wanted to do, I say pencil crayons, I don't think that's used in America, so the color pencil styles, and something like very soft, colorful, and also something that kids can feel like they can kind of draw as well. I guess right now there's a lot of complex shapes, so I remember when I was growing up and looking at these hand-drawn books, like I would try to follow along and draw them as well. So if it's using like more accessible materials, they'll feel, I don't know if my voice carries, they'll feel like excited and also try to draw something similar or even draw on the book. I feel like that's fine, even though parents don't like that.
It's not on library books, but it's fine.
If you go to libraries, they're drawn all over. So, yeah.
Are there any more questions?
It's kind of a broad one. In the manuscript, like courting process, I guess, did you find that publishers are more skeptical these days with just like how much AI writing is around, and like is there more scrutiny towards manuscripts on finding like a legitimate story that's truly yours?
That's 100% something I noticed when I was querying. A lot of these query forms would have checkboxes for if you used AI or not. And I think because of that, and I don't really know as to the result of like if you check that box, if that pushes your manuscript down the list, but I do think there is something to be said about like the original. That being said, like I do think AI is a good tool. We have tried really hard to make this book 100% from ourselves, but I guess that all kind of leads to the answer to the question being I'm not sure, but it is definitely something that agents are thinking about. Any more questions?
Do you guys have any plans for a sequel?
Oh, for a sequel? I think so. We are discussing it, but I think there probably will be more of Yuna, if that's all I can say. So please make sure to follow at Yuna with a menu. And yeah, that's about it. There aren't any more questions, which I think there aren't. We just want to say a big thank you to the Hechomoyo, to Neil, for having us do this book talk. We are so thankful to him for everything. He's right there, if you guys want to say hi, in the green hat. Yeah. We are so thankful to A Colorful Collection for being the best publisher. We are so thankful to Eunice June Rowe for handling all of our marketing. And we are so thankful to all our beautiful friends and family for coming today and filling out this room. It's really insane that we had like a filled out room for this book talk. And obviously to Stella Kim for these beautiful Ludiga accessories. Now it's probably the time you've all been waiting for, who wins the free book. Unless we can also post that on Instagram later and let you know. If you've had time, you still have time to fill out the pre-order form right here. And somebody will win a free book. We will pick 2 winners.
Yeah, I guess we can email you guys after to give folks some time to sign up.
So please follow at Yuna with a menu for updates. Our launch party will be May 5th, 2026. That is when the book comes out. So keep your eyes tuned, keep your eyes peeled for that. And please feel free to come to the table for bookmarks, for stickers. We have some things here. Obviously our artwork is here, and we have the back side too. Thank you so much for coming, you guys. We really appreciate it.